Hello! So, is Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced good? Personally, I loved the original. I played it when I was younger, absolutely adored it, and it stayed with me all of these years now. Even playing through some of the missions in the remake, I found myself remembering what was going to happen or what a certain character was going to say. Yeah, it's incredibly beloved to me, and I know it has that place in a number of other people's hearts as well. Like I just mentioned, and for full disclosure, I have played the original, and as a result, I came in with pretty high expectations. I'm not. So I'm sometimes not very fond of Ubisoft's output at times, but even still, I had pretty lofty expectations of this one. So maybe bear that in mind going into my sort of initial assumptions here. So, for those that don't know, Black Flag Resynced is an open world action adventure game set in the Assassin's Creed universe. It's technically the fourth installment in terms of Assassin's Creed 1, 2, 3, and then 4 is Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Um, you play as Edward Kenway. He's a Welsh privateer turned pirate. Now, he's not your typical Assassin's Creed protagonist. He actually isn't an assassin. He's not a particularly noble person, nor is he honorable. He's incredibly selfish, obviously very charismatic, as you may well see. And he's pretty well and good only in this for himself, at least at first. Now, it's set during the golden age of piracy in the Caribbean in the early 1700s. There's a mixture of land and naval combat. You get to experience sailing the high seas, raiding ships, exploring islands, getting buried treasure, and of course, you get to do what both assassins and pirates do best, which is a lot of fighting. Now, for anyone who's never played the original, this is widely considered as one of the best Assassin's Creed games ever made. Some people I know it is possibly the best. Some people I'm aware, maybe don't think it's a very good Assassin's Creed game, just a very good pirate game. But I think pretty well and good everyone will be in agreement that it's a phenomenal game. And yeah, as I said, one of the best pirate games ever made. Full stop. Now, first impressions, and does it throw you back in? Straight away, yes. Resync throws you back into the Black Flag world incredibly well. The atmosphere is immediately there. The Caribbean, music, Edward Kenway's overall swagger. It really respects the original, whilst clearly, having an abundance of love and care within the rebuild. They didn't just go, right, let's just go for it, get something out. And you can really see that in the love and care that has gone into the Anvil engine. It's done a lot of heavy lifting here. They've clearly put their work into refining the engine and really making it work for the game. The game looks fantastic. From Edward traversing land or from the Jackdaw traversing the sea, everywhere looks fantastic. It's stunning. Each island has been remade with forensic detail and care. From the animals that you'll find there, to the enemies, to the loot, to the bushes, absolutely everything has been meticulously crafted again. It's superb on this side of things. There are obviously the occasional bugs, as there are with any game of this scale. But I'll be honest, it's quite hard to grumble at them. I myself found a couple of them. Unfortunately, I was off stream when I did this, but if you hit a window at a certain angle, you'll just go through it and you'll basically go into the house. I found this in Havana. I'm not sure if this is the case for other sort of densely populated areas, but with how often the game autosaves and just the nature of the game, it's not really something that, hinders you too much. I actually found it quite funny. It felt sort of like the olden days when you'd find a bug and you just laugh at it, like, oh, I found something. This is really cool. Because like I said, like you autosave so unbelievably frequently that you'll maybe go back 30 seconds if you're in a mission, or to your last sync point if you're just running around. It's really not too much of a problem. So on the bug side of things, I only found a couple, and they really weren't problems whatsoever. I know a few people had maybe issues where they were swimming through debris or rubble, and it sort of messed with the overall gravity around Edward. But again, didn't really affect the game too much. Now, in terms of the story, it's a remake. Like they're not writing Shakespeare or anything here, and I think they realized that they shouldn't. Everyone loves the original story for a good reason, but they did make a few additions, and I'm actually really here for them. The ship officers being added, fantastic. I feel like they add a much needed personality to the crew that isn't just Ade. Like, obviously, love Ade. one of my favorite characters in the series. His overall just character, fantastic. But I do feel like the officers elevated things a bit more on board the Jackdaw, both because their stories were genuinely moving and captivating, but also just because it added a bit more something when you were actually aboard the ship, even just terms of the overall atmosphere. Now, a big one for me, and if you don't want spoilers here too much, maybe skip ahead a little bit, but I loved the additions to Blackbeard's story. Fantastic. Thatch Blackbeard meets his pretty epic demise in Black Flag. He's a huge part of the story, huge part of the plot, and a huge part of Edward's life, and a huge part of pirates sort of finding a place to live and progressing as a community. And he's taken from them in what is, in my opinion, one of the most epic on-screen deaths for a side character. And for me, like, even just his last words of "in a world without gold, Kenway, and we might have been heroes," you know, he goes down just as iconically as he does the first time we meet him, or the time where we're getting the medicine and he's got the fuses coming out of his hat. Like, he is so charismatic and he has such screen presence. I adore him. So as I said, the expanded Blackbeard story, fantastic. And now all of these additions feel like they were made by people who understand why the original worked. They're not just ticking boxes. They're not just going, right, we need extra content. Someone's going to look at this and go, well, they've just remade the game and not added anything. How boring. It's not done for the sake of it. It's done because they genuinely want to close certain stories and to offer a little bit more where players wanted it. And you can really tell. So the main character arc, or Edward Kenway's character arc, for me, his progression is one of the best things about the game. Both in the original and the remake, they're pretty well and good the same. He starts off as a selfish, self-absorbed pirate who thinks of absolutely no one but himself. This starts with, in the first few cutscenes, you see him with his wife, Caroline. She can't stand the idea of him going to become a privateer under the king. We also see it with all of his other friendships. Kid, Blackbeard, even Steed, when we first start the game. He doesn't actually value Steve's friendship. He is using him from the start. And it more or less stays that way throughout the entire game, even up to the point where Steed is genuinely incredibly caring of Edward at this point. Edward still doesn't really care. Now, in terms of his character progression, I'm not saying that by the end of the game he is this altruistic knight who would lay his life on the line for absolutely anyone, because he's not. But that's why I think it's genuinely well executed. It's believable. You know, it's not some forced storyline where this guy is suddenly the perfect human being. He doesn't magically, become these things that people maybe want him to be. He becomes someone just with a conscience who genuinely cares about the people that he loves and the people in particular that he has lost. And he develops that need to actually do what is right as opposed to just what'll earn him money. And crucially, I think by the end of it, he actually aligns with the way where the assassins want him to be. He spends so long almost in tandem with the objective. They both want the observatory, but for completely different reasons. And he spends so long in opposition to them, despite being on the exact same path with the exact same goal against the exact same people. And I think by the end of it, he finally understands what they want from him. And it's quite a satisfying moment, seeing the assassins accept him and also him accepting them as what they are and realizing how crucial they are. Personally, I think it's probably one of the more grounded and human character arcs in the franchise. He's not perfect, but he's also realistic. In the end of the game, he goes home with his daughter. Obviously, he's lost Caroline. That's incredibly heartbreaking at the end. He's evidently left a lot of friends that he had back in the Caribbean. He goes home with his daughter. He gets a new wife. He has a son, Hatham, who, things with Hatham develop, but I think that's possibly for another video. Now, as I sort of touched on before, I think some of the side characters in Black Flag are phenomenal. The supporting cast, to me, is sort of what elevates the game from being very good to great. I think having that support, it keeps stories rich. You know, like I've mentioned already, Steed, Mary, Kid, Caroline, they're all brilliant and charming in their own way. None of them are particularly similar. They all offer something different and they all have very different dynamics with Edward. And as I mentioned as well, obviously Blackbeard Thatch is my absolute standout. Stellar performance from the actor for him. Unbelievable. Now, a big one for me coming into this was combat and movement. Full transparency on this one, I was quite skeptical at first. I kept finding myself pressing the original buttons, you know, right trigger to sprint, Y to parry, X to attack. It really threw me off that they completely remapped everything. And there also isn't a way to map it back, which I didn't love. But you sort of quite quickly realize why when you see the way they've overhauled the combat. Now, this was also something that had me very skeptical. I didn't like this at first. Being completely honest, I really didn't like it. Maybe the first hour or so. I thought, why have they done this? It seems so unnecessary. But as you give it more time, it's actually really good. And I think it sort of fleshes out what was very simple and very basic combat. It was sort of just press Y, press X, dodge every so often. That's it. It's still not like, you know, you're not playing Elden Ring when you're playing this, but they added the ability for sort of your own input combos, a lot more freedom to piece together Edward's fighting how you want. One of the big additions for me was the rope dart. Absolutely class. It effectively acts as Scorpion's chain from Mortal Kombat. You can pull off some really, really good moves with it. So they added that, a leg sweep, a kick, and obviously Edward has his abundance of pistols. So with the 4 constantly deployable in any combat situation, it really opened things up, I think, to sort of a more free-flowing combat system. And once it clicks, it is genuinely really good. So in terms of sailing and naval combat, it's obviously Black Flag centerpiece. You know, it's a pirate game. The ships are going to be important. And the Anvil engine does huge heavy lifting here. And the naval physics are phenomenal. Like, the sea feels alive at all times. It's great. From the weather to just the way the waves interact with your ship, everything is absolutely brilliant. Of course, I couldn't do this section without just acknowledging what a blessing it was to step back onto the jackdaw again. It was like a blast of nostalgia when I just got behind the wheel again. It was, even now, like, I've finished the game. I've finished the game. I've done loads of the side missions now. I just adore the jackdaw. I don't know what, I couldn't word exactly what it is, but it's just, it's fantastic. Of course, the mortar is still freakishly powerful compared to everything else, which is both a complaint but also kind of funny at the same time. Like, as soon as you got that thing leveled up, forts become significantly easier because you can just mag dump the mortar into them. So by the time you're there, you can more or less one-shot all of the defenses. And the ram, of course, still very fun. The ram cam, hilarious, especially on stream. Next up, modern day sections, or in this case, lack thereof. Gone. And it was a fantastic call at that point as well. Perfect. Now, I didn't even mind them that much in the original, but I just felt that their absence in Resynced made for a far smoother overall journey, especially on like an emotional level as well. I often found that they came after a really big sort of crescendo in a sequence, and often those ended with huge emotional moments or emotional cliffhangers, only then be sucked out and just dropped back in some Abstergo desk. Now, I sort of alluded to this before. Is it actually an Assassin's Creed game? Obviously, it is an Assassin's Creed game, but it's always been probably called one of the least Assassin's Creed games. Edward isn't assassin coded whatsoever. But I would push back on that. I think he actually feels like a closer iteration of what an assassin is or should be, especially compared to some of the newer entries into the franchise. And you really feel the presence of the Brotherhood in Black Flag as well, which I think has kind of gone missing in a lot of, again, the newer entries. You know, you get to see other assassins during missions, Kid and Ade being active members of the Brotherhood. It all really feeds into the overall feeling of an Assassin's Creed game, having them there, whether they're watching or whether you're actually interacting with them. The music, sensational as always, and as expected, to be completely honest. Shanties from the original and the new ones as well. They did, in fact, make new shanties. There is now an abundance, all of them amazing. I could happily sail around for hours listening to all the shanties run through have in fact saved them all on Spotify. I've got a playlist and I listen to them in the car. They're amazing. The team did such a good job on those. And, you know, it's something coming into the game that I think everyone knew was going to be done well. You know, they're essentially a character within the game. And I think Resynced honors that really well with the new additions, particularly certain ones that reference, you know, beloved characters within the game once certain mission sequences are done. I think that was a really, really good addition. In terms of who the game's for, I know a few people have asked whether it's worth replaying if you played the original. Is it worth the $49.99? Or I'm not 100% sure what that is in dollars and euros, but that is what it is in the UK for the base version. Is it worth it? Both as a newcomer as well. Yes. I think it's been rebuilt so well in a modern engine that if you have played the original, even recently, coming across, you will still be charmed enough to just keep going, keep playing through, and just enjoying taking in the sights again, enjoying the characters, enjoying the new missions, sailing around and just having fun. Absolutely, for returning players, you'll love it. And if you are a newcomer to Black Flag, or even a newcomer to Assassin's Creed in general, it's I'd argue it's possibly one of the best Assassin's Creed games to start on. It's not too heavy on the Brotherhood or the Creed that you maybe won't really understand references too much. So you'll be completely fine on that front. And then as well, it's just a fun game. You don't need to treat it too hard as an Assassin's Creed game. You can easily just have a lot of fun being a pirate. But then for those new players who do want a story-rich and emotional journey, you'll get that as well. It really covers every base. So 100%, I think, returning fans and newcomers, it's 100% a game for you. Absolutely worth it. And I'll specify as well, I am not a Ubisoft partner. I'm not endorsed for this. I have no stake in whether you do buy the game or not. I just honestly think that it is worth it. Now, just on that point, I do want to sort of address the elephant in the room. I know there's been a lot of talk about it online. I've spoke about it quite a bit on stream. Microtransactions. Obviously, as I've said, the game is brilliant, but I feel like this needs to be talked about. $49.99 base price for the game. Fine, it's a remake of a classic. It's fair. It's on the high end, especially when you compare it to maybe development time and costs to actual retail price, but again, it's not the end of the world. But Ubisoft then decide it was appropriate to include about £80 worth of microtransactions on top of that. And it's not just cosmetic fluff either. The weapons in the store are genuinely better than anything you can unlock through playing the game ever. Like, they are by far the best weapons in the game. Those weapons have matching outfits that they come with in £8.99 bundles, as well as a matching ship cosmetic, also £8.99. Now, there are 4 of these if you buy the base game. If you buy the deluxe version, you get 1 of these each through that. But with these 8 cosmetic options, as well as a few other add-ons, I think some of them make getting the collectibles easier. Some of them give you loads of resources to upgrade the Jackdaw and Edward's Hideout. But all of them combined is over £80. Now, look, I know a lot of games have DLC like this. Resident Evil has it, for example. It's not inherently a problem. Loads of games have DLC. That's just the way the business is now. My issues are a bit more specific to how they've gone about it. 1, it's in your face literally within the first few minutes. You barely load it in and the store is being pushed at you pretty aggressively. You open the menu. If you press start to go into the menu, start again, you're on the store. If you press to go to the main menu, store options there again, and it's the biggest thing on there. And I don't know how I did it when I first loaded up, but I pressed pause, and before I even got to Edward's inventory, the store was there. So it will be very, very present. And I also just think the pricing is a bit insulting for a game that's already on the premium side of retail price range for a remake. I just think £80 worth of cosmetic and making skins £9 is kind of ridiculous. I want to clarify as well, this obviously isn't a slight on the dev team that made the game. They did fantastically. This is happening at the very top of Ubisoft. Someone is deciding that their games need this in it. I feel like I should clarify that. Well done to the team that developed the game. This isn't on you. Now, it won't ruin your experience. You can ignore it. I ignored it. It's very easy to do so. I just feel like it being there and it being portrayed in the way that it is, it would be very out of character for me to not address it. It's something that I often find very annoying, especially something that I often find Ubisoft do quite frequently. and I'm just not a fan of it. Obviously, like I said, ignore it. The game's fantastic. It just puts a bit of a sour taste in your mouth every time you see it, but the vast majority of the game, I'd say 99% of the game, I didn't notice it, nor did I care. Moving on from that, I sort of thought, what could be next? They've started the remake trend now. What can they do next? They prove they can do it, and I want more of it. I've already mentioned Resident Evil once, I might as well mention them again. They do remakes and they do them brilliantly. Ubisoft now has the blueprint to do it again. Give us Assassin's Creed 1. Bring Altair back. He's even mentioned in Black Flag. Give us Assassin's Creed 2. Brotherhoods, Revelations. Everyone knows who Ezio is. Everyone loves Ezio. Assassin's Creed 2 is literally one of my favorite games ever. It's in my all-time top 3. Give it to us. I think revisiting two of the most iconic characters, not just in Ubisoft's library, but the gaming library on the whole, would be huge for the franchise. They know that the charm and storytelling and script is already there. People love it. It just needs the same treatment that Resynced had. You know, refined movement, combat. Obviously, games as old as they are will massively need overhauls on that front. But they can do it. They've proved that. They are able to give that love and attention where it's needed. The audience is there, demand is there. They've got the teams that can do it now. What's stopping it? So, to conclude, Black Flag Resynced is a brilliant remake of a brilliant game, an all-time favorite for me, and Resynced has done exactly that again. It will go down in my heart and will stay in my brain. I had an incredible time playing it. There were a number of times where I felt moved, excited. There was certain parts, particularly, again, Blackbeard's part of the story where during all the characters mourning him, Ezio's family started playing one of, if not, my all-time favorite gaming pieces of music. I genuinely nearly cried on stream. I might even include a clip of that here, if I feel like outing myself. Hello, we've just witnessed Blackbeard's fall, and it is just as cinematic as I remember it being. Music!
We lost Edward Thatch this night. But Blackbeard yet lives. He lives in the nightmares of governors. He lives in the fearful tales told by officers, and he lives in the heart of every pirate who wants only to be free. He will not be forgotten. Not now. Not ever.
But overall, I think it really respects the original. It adds to it in the right places, and it delivers it in a package that looks and feels incredible. If you've not played it, play it. Now, thank you everyone. I hope you enjoyed this kind of video. I'm kind of taking the channel in a bit of a different direction now, so you'll sort of see more videos like this with the more games that release, the more games I play. So I hope you liked it. Feel free to, leave what you did like, didn't like, any suggestions, maybe sections that I should dive into more to, or even add into the format. Please like and subscribe if you did enjoy it. I'll be live on Twitch most days, playing through games like this, whether it's another single player experience, whether it's multiplayer with friends. So feel free to come and say hello. The link to the channel will be in the description. But yeah, thank you so much if you made it to this point, and I'll hopefully see you again soon.